Hi guys, it's Michelle, and today's video is going to be all about different celebrities who have actually killed people before. I know, kind of a crazy topic, but I thought this would be an interesting video because there's low-key a lot of celebrities who were either involved with fatal accidents on their part or also who murdered people. Like, there's just so much, and let's jump in. All right, we're gonna start with a more, I would say, well-known case. I think a lot of people know this, but Caitlyn Jenner did kill someone in 2015. On February 7th of 2015, Caitlyn Jenner was driving down the Pacific Coast Highway in Malibu, California. Basically, Caitlyn rear-ended a person in a white Lexus. The white Lexus then got pushed into oncoming traffic and was struck head-on by a Hummer. The woman who was killed in the accident was a woman named Kimberly Howe, and her kids actually filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Caitlyn Jenner, alleging that her negligence was what caused their stepmother's death. And the case was actually settled in court for an undisclosed sum. So while Caitlyn Jenner's actions may have contributed to the car crash, she was never charged with vehicular manslaughter. So that's mostly because they couldn't really determine whether or not she was speeding at the time. Apparently, like, certain claims and like eyewitnesses said that she was. There was like reports of her being on her phone, but it's really not determined, and at the end of the day she got out of this lawsuit and they settled. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on that one. Right, you probably don't know about this, which is crazy, like, because he's one of the biggest actors, but Matthew Broderick, who's best known for Ferris Bueller's Day Off, was actually involved with a fatal car accident in 1987. So Matthew Broderick and his girlfriend at the time, Jennifer Grey from Dirty Dancing, were in Ireland in August of 1987, and Matthew Broderick had rented a BMW, and while he was on a rural road in Northern Ireland, he veered into the wrong lane and collided head-on with a Volvo driver. The Volvo driver was a 28-year-old named Anna Gallagher and her mother, Margaret Doherty, and both of them were killed in the crash. So Matthew Broderick was initially charged with causing death by dangerous driving, because I mean, he was driving on the wrong side of the road. I do understand in Ireland they obviously drive on the opposite side of the road than they do in America, but like, if you're gonna drive there, like, you should probably be aware of that. Matthew Broderick was around 25 years old at the time, and this type of prison sentence probably would have ruined his career. He could have been sentenced anywhere up to 5 years, and that's kind of a long time. Matthew Broderick claims that he has no memory of this accident whatsoever. He's like, I don't remember why I ended up on the wrong side of the road. I don't even remember getting up that morning. That's because Matthew Broderick from the accident had a concussion and he was unconscious for a month. Matthew Broderick's charge ended up going down to just being a careless driving charge, which is again way less significant than reckless driving. I think it was like $175 fine or something like that, and that's pretty crazy. A lot of people were angry about this verdict. Not just the families of the victims, but also the media thought that it was pretty fucked up that, like, it seemed like because of his status he was getting off with a much smaller degree than what he maybe deserved. So despite this, Matthew obviously went on to have a very successful career, and of course that frustrated a lot of people, because had he gotten the sentence that maybe he should have gotten, like by recklessly driving, like, I understand that it can be an accident, but to veer off onto the wrong side of the road, like, while there's oncoming traffic, like, I don't know why that would happen, but it's really scary. All right, the next one I want to talk about is, of course, Alec Baldwin. I feel like this one was expected because this was the craziest thing that's ever happened, and I don't think I ever talked about it. So in 2021, while he was on the set of the film Rust, he shot a prop gun that ended up actually being loaded, and it killed the cinematographer Helena Hutchins. Honestly, this particular incident had sparked a shit ton of controversy because a lot of people were really blaming Alec Baldwin for it. I do still think that's true, but apparently the movie that they were filming was a very low budget movie, and there was really no need for it to be low budget because obviously Alec Baldwin is a successful actor and he's the lead actor and the producer of this movie. So also he was overseeing things like props, and so that should have been definitely noted. I'd say Alec Baldwin seemed absolutely devastated that this happened. For sure, like, I will say, obviously, it was an accident. I don't think he meant to do it, and I think he probably feels an immense amount of guilt for it. Because at the end of the day, he took a person's life, and it was an accident, but that's so scary and could have been avoided. By him, I guess that's the question, if it could have been avoided by him. I don't know. I just think that would just mark you with such a profound amount of grief. Helena's husband, Matthew Hutchins, actually did end up filing a wrongful death lawsuit against Alec Baldwin and other key crew members of the movie, basically citing that there was some negligence and or unsafe working conditions. In various interviews, Matthew Hutchins has been seen talking about how he feels angry that Alec Baldwin did not really take responsibility. And he also stated that it's been really hard for him to process that someone like Alec Baldwin, who is obviously a very successful actor, would be involved with such a dangerous lapse in safety. Which I think is really true. Like, at the end of the day, this is like a serious movie, and I mean, every movie set should be safe, but like, they should theoretically have the budget to make sure that this would never happen. So I just cannot believe that this happened. Helena had a little 9-year-old son, and of course he was absolutely devastated, and I just feel so awful for her family. The Santa Fe County Sheriff pretty much launched the investigation immediately. Like, this was an open investigation basically focusing on how a live round of bullets even ended up in that prop gun. The prop gun was basically supposed to be loaded with blanks or dummy rounds, but obviously that didn't happen. So this was when attention turned to Hannah Gutierrez Reed, who was the film's armorer, and she was responsible for all of the firearms on set, and David Halls, the assistant director, who was the one that handed Alec Baldwin the gun. And when he handed him the gun, he declared it a cold gun, meaning it was supposedly safe to use. But the wrongful death lawsuit basically claimed that the production not only failed to implement basic safety protocols, but also that Alec Baldwin really should not have been shooting a gun during rehearsal, which, again, that's also true. So both Alec Baldwin and Hannah Gutierrez Reed were actually charged of involuntary manslaughter, which essentially you can be put in prison for up to 18 months on this kind of charge. However, in April of 2023, the charges against Alec Baldwin were dropped, citing that new evidence related to the firearm mechanics and that he really didn't know that there was any live rounds in there. But again, it's still not, like, even though it's an accident, I don't know. Like, I do feel like maybe involuntary manslaughter was fair. I mean, like, 18 months isn't that long, and like, I doubt that's like up to 18 months. He probably wouldn't have had to go to jail. Either way, Alec Baldwin's case really changed the trajectory of like safety protocols on sets, which should have already been a thing. But for sure, it definitely made a lot of changes, but let me know your guys' thoughts. All right, the next person we're going to be talking about is a man named Johnny Lewis, who is known for his role on Sons of Anarchy. He was involved with a very, very brutal murder of an 81-year-old woman. This is just insane. So Johnny Lewis was 28 years old at the time on September 26th of 2012. So Johnny was renting a room from this woman, Catherine Davis, who was 81 years old. She was just a little old lady landlord who lived in a house in Los Feliz, and he was renting a room from her. Apparently Johnny Lewis had actually fallen off of a motorcycle earlier that year, and that is when his friends and family noticed a stark difference in his personality. Like, it was like a light switch, like night and day. So on September 26th of 2012, Johnny Lewis strangled and bludgeoned 81-year-old Catherine Davis to death. Basically, neighbors reported commotion and then cries for help. And when the police arrived at the scene, they found Catherine Davis's body inside the home, and she had been beaten and strangled to death. And Johnny Lewis was found on the driveway dead. He had either jumped or fallen from the roof. People are unsure whether or not they think it was on purpose or an accident. But ultimately, he died from the impact either way. Many of his friends and family were just completely shocked by this. They couldn't believe that Johnny would do something like this, and I think that's really scary. I don't know. I mean, I think there are a lot of like head injuries you can get from like concussions and such, but it's kind of scary to think that it could completely change your personality. That's actually kind of suspected in Jeffrey Dahmer's case as well, because apparently he was normal before he like got brain surgery or something with his head. I forget, but that's terrifying. Like, imagine your entire life and entire personality just changing and you just become like a serial killer. That's nuts. Catherine Davis's family was obviously very heartbroken by this, and they described her as a very kind and loving woman who really cared about the people that she was renting rooms to. And apparently she often rented out her rooms to artists and like up and coming actors that were trying to make their way in Hollywood. And she had been like a resident of Los Angeles and Los Feliz for decades. Like, she was very much involved with the community. It's just heartbreaking. Also really sad because it's just, I mean, she was 81 years old. That's so heartbreaking that you open your home to someone like Johnny Lewis. She was just trying to help him, a struggling actor, and he literally murdered her, like, in the most horrific way. Like, that's just horrible. Many of the neighbors were also shocked because they found Johnny Lewis to be such a quiet and kind tenant. And again, it just was so strange that he committed such a brutal crime. But like I said, a lot of people believe that it chalks up to that motorcycle accident where he maybe hit his head the wrong way. I don't know. I just think that's terrifying that that can happen. I mean, O.J. Simpson says hi. Actually, let's talk about him next while we're on it. But O.J. Simpson, of course, famously, he is an NFL star, a broadcaster, actor, all of the above. He's pretty famous or notorious for potentially being involved with the murder of his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her friend Ron Goldman. I'm positive you've heard of this before, but Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman were murdered on June 12th of 1994 in Brentwood, Los Angeles. Nicole and Ron were found outside of Nicole's Brentwood condo, and they had both been stabbed multiple times. Nicole and O.J. Simpson had divorced 2 years prior to her death, and they have children together. Obviously, O.J. Simpson was quite a big person of interest in this case, and I'm so pissed that he's dead and we didn't analyze his brain, because oof, that irritates me, because I truly do believe that he had CTE, which is basically from a blunt force trauma to the head, which a lot of football players get this. Their personality completely shifts. They become super aggressive, and a lot of times either killed people or themselves or both. And it's like literally something chemically in the brain that happens from this repeated, like, over and over concussions that they get when they play football. And a lot of people suspected that O.J. Simpson had this disease, and now we'll just never fucking know. I was like literally waiting for him to die because I was like, we're gonna take apart his brain. Apparently he's allowed to say no to that because he did prior to his death. So I guess we'll just never know. And that really pisses me off. Like, what? For science, that should have been mandatory that they analyze that brain, because I would have, like, oh my god, it would have made so much sense. Obviously this is alleged, so O.J. Simpson was not found guilty of killing Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman. I also believe her children don't believe that he killed her, but also, like, what are you gonna tell a child to believe, like, that's their dad? So, like, I don't know. Some people believe the theory actually that their son killed him and OJ just kind of took the fall, but I don't know. But either way, he was pretty famously acquitted for this and was never found guilty of these murders. And to his death day, he denied murdering Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman. And I'm like, why couldn't you have just admitted it? Like, right before he had cancer, like, he knew he was going. Honestly, I still think to this day it's strange that they never found the murder weapon, because I think Robert Kardashian had it. Like, I'm gonna say it, I know it sounds crazy, but that fucking garment bag. There is a video of Robert Kardashian just getting into town, seeing OJ for the first time, because Robert Kardashian was his defense attorney, which also strange because Robert Kardashian is not a criminal justice lawyer. Made no sense for him to be on this trial, honestly, whatsoever, and I cannot believe he did that. If I was Kris Jenner, oof, I would have been furious. I mean, I think she was, but either way, Robert Kardashian was passed a Louis Vuitton garment bag, and it's famous. Like, this is, like, known for being a missing item because the prosecutors asked for this garment bag and everyone just didn't know where it went. It just had disappeared. And a lot of people speculate that the murder weapon was actually in the garment bag and Robert Kardashian got rid of it. I don't know if I think that's true, but I will say I think like 98% of people believe that O.J. Simpson definitely killed Nicole and Ron, but let me know your thoughts, because I cannot believe that O.J. Simpson was famous before this. That's what's surprising to me. Like, I know he was a football player, but to me that's like not really famous, but to other people, like, I guess that's fair. Like, that'd be like if Travis Kelce killed someone, but like, that's fucking nuts, because obviously this happened before I was born. I've only ever known O.J. Simpson as a murderer, but it would be pretty fucking nuts to like watch this happen in real time. I can't even imagine. All right, the next case literally breaks my heart. Mr. Mosby. Mr. Mosby from The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody killed someone like completely was his fault. And that sucks. So Phill Lewis was around 30 years old. This was on December 28th of 1991. He was driving under the influence of alcohol and he struck a 21-year-old woman, Isabel Durrett, who was walking across the street. The impact of the accident killed her, and Phill Lewis stopped at the scene. He was visibly distressed and tried to help Isabel out, but like she could not be saved. She died. He was given a breathalyzer test that proved that he was above the legal drive limit. So Phill Lewis was actually convicted of vehicular manslaughter and a DUI and went to jail because of this, all before The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. Phill Lewis served a year in prison and had 2 years of probation and also had to pay restitutions towards Isabel's family. And this is just like so heartbreaking because that is so shitty. Like, do not drink and drive. You will kill people literally, and how like that just lives with you forever. And I'm like, he was 30 at the time. Like, you should have known better. Not that like you shouldn't, even if you're like 21 or whatever. Like, obviously you should always know better, but that's insane. And it's really sad, and it really does it. Like, as soon as I found that out, I have never been able to watch Zack and Cody the same way. Like, I can't look at him the same. That's insane. And like, of course, like a lot of people and a lot of celebrities get arrested for DUIs, like honestly often, but it's not that often where someone actually kills someone. All right, the last case that we're going to be talking about, we've been talking about him a lot lately, is Mr. P. Diddy. He's a little scumbag, and he's probably killed some people, and we're going to start naming them. Let's start with Kim Porter, his ex-girlfriend. So Kim Porter is the mother of P. Diddy's children. She died under pretty mysterious circumstances from pneumonia in 2018. A lot of people believe that she actually had evidence against P. Diddy, like based on everything that's going down now about it. They believe that Kim had video proof of him hooking up with people illegally, of him SAing people, all of the shit that he's accused of doing, basically. And people really believe that P. Diddy had her killed to silence her. And I believe it. But something I believe for sure even more, like if you didn't get sold on that, I was gonna say without shadow of a doubt, allegedly, P. Diddy killed Tupac. Like 100% allegedly. And I say allegedly only because I have to, but I feel like at this point, it's so fucking there. The evidence is there. Keefe D is the person who actually shot Tupac, and he has confessed and been saying multiple times that P. Diddy hired him and paid him $1 million to kill Tupac and Suge Knight, but obviously Suge Knight ended up living. After Tupac's death, then I just feel like I've really explained this a lot over the past couple days, so sorry if you've seen it so much, just want to keep it brief because I just felt like I had to mention it. After Tupac's death, it had been a thing that people knew Biggie was going to get killed, or at least shot at or something. Everyone knew this. Diddy was aware, and let's keep in mind, Diddy and Biggie were really close friends, and also Biggie was Diddy's biggest client at Bad Boy Records by far. However, according to Kim Porter's alleged tell-all book, she claims that Sean said that Biggie was worth more to him in death than in life prior to his death, and that was why he was done protecting him. So now what I believe happened is P. Diddy hired Keefe D to kill Tupac. That I think happened. Then what I think happened next is Suge Knight was gonna kill Biggie in retaliation, because obviously Suge Knight is the owner of Death Row Records, and in that record label, Tupac was his biggest client, and so in retaliation, he was gonna kill Biggie. I think Diddy 100,000% allegedly knew about it and just let it happen. So a lot of people think that Diddy knew damn well that Biggie was going to get murdered, or at least attempted murder, and he just let it happen. Because why? Biggie was worth more to Diddy in death, and that is a fact. It is unfortunate the way that works, but obviously you know how like literally everything works. Every artist ever who has died becomes more famous when they die. That's just a fact. Curiosity and whatever, but I just think that is so fucking interesting and really, really scary. Obviously, I would say he's responsible for Tupac's murder, but I will also say I think he played a pretty key role in Biggie's murder, like in the sense of he could have stopped it and he didn't. Biggie's mother also agreed with this, and she called out Sean Combs as well for letting them kill her son. And I don't know, I believe it. It's dark. Honestly, there's probably so much more dark shit that we don't even know. But either way, that is it for today's video. If you guys liked it, please give it a big thumbs up. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of these different cases. Do you think that a lot of them did it? Yes or no? Some of these were open-ended. Let me know your thoughts. But that is it. Make sure you follow me on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram, and subscribe for new videos every week. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.